Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming today. We stand at a critical juncture for the health of our nation, our farmers, and our food supply. It's time that we address two pressing issues that threaten our sovereignty and our well-being: the influx of Chinese-made agri-products and the unchecked use of glyphosate by corporations seeking blanket immunity. For too long, foreign influences crept into our agriculture system. Chinese-made agri-products, often produced under lax regulations, are leaching into our food supply, compromising the quality and the safety of what we eat. This isn't about just economics, it's about security. We cannot allow our reliance on foreign adversaries to dictate the integrity of our soil and our livelihoods. Banning these products made from a nation that has flooded our own nation with fentanyl, carfentanil, and other toxins isn't protectionism, it's self-preservation. We must prioritize American farmers and ensure our food is grown on our soil under our standards. Equally concerning is the push by some companies to shield themselves from accountability regarding glyphosate, a chemical linked to serious health issues. Granting blanket immunity to these corporations, or any corporation, would be a betrayal to the public trust as well as our Seventh Amendment rights. We cannot let profit-driven entities rewrite the rules to escape responsibility while the very people we represent up here bear the consequences. Transparency and accountability must prevail over corporate convenience. And let's not ignore the underhanded tactics playing out right before us in Missouri. Entities with vested interests are flooding mailboxes with misleading attack mailers, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, trying to sway political outcomes with their bully tactics and cowardly lies. This is foreign and corporate influence colliding, manipulating our constitutional rights to protect their bottom line. The action we are calling on is simple: ban Chinese agri-products, reject immunity for glyphosate makers, and call out these meddling in our state's affairs. Our food, our health, and our freedom depend on it.
So clearly this was a preemptive attack on any discussion or deliberation that neither happened in our offices nor did it happen on the Senate floor. So this was preemptive. It's offensive for those flyers to go out without being contacted or notified, and again, no deliberation. As somebody who's a multi-generational farmer herself, it's offensive. We have a farmer we are farmers. So to find out that we're being attacked because we are standing in defense of the farmers and their rights to have due process in the courts, their Seventh Amendment right, is absolutely offensive. So I just want to say they would have been better off coming to us and having conversations about the legislation. This was, again, preemptive and a direct attack on our farmers and them having access to the due process in the court system.
Go for it. I'd just like to say this is probably, I've been in the legislature since 2010, one of the most offensive types of legislation that I've seen. Literal carte blanche immunity for a product that you are spraying on every single bit of our food supply. I think it's egregious and outrageous. If we look back into yesteryear of asbestos and other products that if we put a label on it, you receive carte blanche immunity, we would be absolutely outraged at past legislatures if they were to do that. That's exactly what we're facing with this. Now we're seeing all this outside influence and influx of funds to attack senators and policymakers to try to force their initiative through this process. To me, it only emboldens and solidifies our resolve to ensure that this will never see the light of day, because this is egregious and this is not consumer protection. This is corporate interest and foreign corporate interest at its nth degree, and that's exactly what these bills intend to do, and we intend to stop it. So happy to turn it over.
Thank you for being here today. For the record, I'm State Senator Brad Hudson, Stone, Taney, Douglas, Ozark, Texas Howell, and Shannon counties. A little over a week ago, an out-of-state dark money group sent mailers into my district trying to paint me as pro-Chinese interference in our food supply. Their lies were as cheap and fake as the artwork on their mailer, but I was inspired. Last week, I filed Senate Bill 707, which would ban the use of Chinese pesticides in the state of Missouri. It is a simple, straightforward, and important bill that further demonstrates my commitment to our American and Missouri values. I didn't think I needed to restate or prove my loyalty to our country and state, but since it has been called into question, I have zero hesitation in fighting back and stopping Chinese interference in our food supply and in our pesticide markets. I will always fight for Missouri and America first, and I will never back down to cheap attacks and meritless rhetoric.
Thank you. I don't claim to be a scientist. I know that there are conflicting studies as far as whether these products directly cause cancer or not. And I just, you think about the actions that were taken, and if there was real merit to this argument, you would think that they would come and argue that merit to us face to face. But that's not what happened. Instead, you see this slimy, underhanded, deceptful attack that's sent out as if some attempt to bully us into submission. And I want to be brief because I'm sure there's some other people that want to speak as well. But I would just state that if that was the intention here, then they were gravely mistaken. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Senator Joe Nicola from Eastern Jackson County, Senate District 11. And I just stand here with my brave and courageous colleagues, united that we will do whatever we can to protect the people's rights and secure their freedoms and protect the Seventh Amendment, that they would have the access for due process and trial by jury. So that's where we stand. I will stand there, and I agree with my colleagues and everything else that was said. Thank you very much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Do you have any questions? Or were you speaking?
You forgot the junior senator from St. Charles.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here. Adam Schnelting, Eastern St. Charles County. Look, I stand firmly against granting corporations blanket immunity as it pertains to accountability, particularly when it comes to herbicides and pesticides that may be linked to cancer and other diseases that are affecting Americans, countless Americans. Missourians deserve transparency, not legal loopholes for chemical giants. And President Trump has, as you know, fought against corporate overreach, and the policies that he has implemented, the American First policies that he has implemented, puts public health and safety over corporate profits. I think it's JFK Jr.'s or RFK Jr.'s own mantra, make America healthy again, right? That resonates with the American people. This is a bipartisan issue, and I know I can speak for myself and the other senators up here today that we refuse to allow Missouri families to pay the price for the unchecked corporate immunity that would be given through these bills. We need the consumer protections that we currently have in law to remain in place, and I know I'm committed to ensuring that that's the case, and I know these senators are as well. So anyway, we're going to continue fighting to ensure that remains, that public health and safety remains our key priority. And we're not going to cede state sovereignty and state authority over to the EPA, which is not a conservative position, and it's not a popular position with Missourians either. Anyway, thank you. Did you want to speak?
David, Mike, any questions?
For Senator Hudson, did I gather that you said you filed your bill 707 only after the attack mailers went out?
Yes. I filed the bill last week, and the attack mailers went out about a little over a week ago.
So is that something you're proposing because you were attacked, or?
As I said in my statement earlier, I was inspired when I got to thinking about the situation that we have here in the state of Missouri, our food supply, and the concern that we should have for it. And I decided that this is a simple and straightforward way that we can tackle this issue. And so I was inspired. Through that inspiration, it led to this bill, which I'm happy to be a sponsor of.
So if your bill were to pass, there'd be no Chinese alternatives to Bayer's Roundup?
If my bill were to pass, then Chinese pesticides would be banned from use in Missouri.
Could it create a scenario where there's no alternative to Roundup, which people are claiming causes cancer there?
What I would say to that is if we've got a situation where we are depending on products from those who would be our enemies in order to be caretakers of our food supply, we've got a problem that we need to address.
Any other questions?
Well, I'm sorry I came in here late. I talked to Senator Bratton about this yesterday, but China makes so much of the farm chemicals that dominate the world market on farm chemicals. Where are farmers supposed to get affordable replacement chemicals?
Well, I mean, first we need to look at the healthy initiative of the type of chemicals that are being sprayed onto our food supply. I think that's where we have to first dive into that, make sure that it's healthy, make sure it's not causing cancer. I don't care where it's coming from or who's manufacturing it. I don't care if it's right here in Missouri. But I think the first step is making sure that our foreign adversaries aren't poisoning us as Americans or Missourians with the chemicals that we spray on there. So that's what I like about this approach. Hey, yeah, we're being attacked on that front for the foreign adversary aspect of it, but I think the further reach into this is making sure that these chemicals are safe, and if we are spraying chemicals that aren't, we need to take a real deep dive into anything that's being sprayed on there that may be adverse to my children, your children, and grandchildren.
Well, I think to piggyback on what Senator Bratton said, I mean, we've been told constantly from the state government, from federal government, what's healthy and what's not healthy. Agent Orange, DDT, smoking, alcohol, these are all things that years later have been found out to cause cancer or be debilitating to society. So offering blanket immunity to any company is off the table with my colleagues and I.
That's right.
So you are talking about multi-layered subjects here, right? You realize that this is the same international company that tells our farmers they have to use their product and now is asking for liability protection. So they've boxed our farmers in. That's the real issue, right? And now what they're coming down and saying is we want liability protection, not because we couldn't get it at the federal level because the Supreme Court Justice threw out that lawsuit. Now what they're doing is coming to 20 different states and targeting 20 different states that are ag heavy and doing the same tactics that you saw here in Missouri. So that's the real issue. The issue isn't should our farmers be able to allow. Those are vast conversations that we need to be having. The safety, efficacy, but what is at play right here, right now, is whether or not our farmers should have rights to due process and their 7th Amendment right and go up against a giant when their health is being compromised without truth in labeling. That's the question here at hand.
So Senator Carter, you mentioned your farming background. Have you used this product before, Roundup?
My husband has used this product. Yes, he has.
Have you had any concerns with it?
We've used it once or twice. He has not used it in a long time simply because of the concerns that I have. I have a special needs son. So I have a son who I have seen kind of be used for some of these practices that have negatively impacted, I believe, his health, not just his health, but our farmers' health. And so, again, farmers are put in this situation where they feel like in order to make a profit, they have to buy the seed. I mean, if you want to talk about real conversations, talk about the fact that Monsanto will not allow them to reuse the seed, to sell the seed, even though they're purchasing the product. Like, do you buy a car and then you don't have the right to sell it anywhere else? So these guys cannot reuse the seed the next year. They have to buy the seed. And to the conversation I had with one farmer that I respect, what happens when an international company that you're so dependent upon now has liability protection, not only liability protection, but comes to you and says, we're not selling you your seed. That's the situation we're in. This is not an American company. And our farmers are dependent upon them. And now you're asking us to take liability away from them and access to due process in court. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I'd like to touch with Roundup. It's a product designed to kill a living organism. so it's not a far stretch thinking that it absorbs into the plant and it's through absorption that it kills to the root, right? It's in their advertisement. So to say that it potentially doesn't harm and absorb into human skin and may be harmful, to go and give carte blanche immunity to a company that's selling that product at large just by putting a stupid label on there, I think is ridiculous and is crazy. So I think that's the crux of why we're here. Yeah, it is a product that has the potential harm, and we've seen it in lawsuit right here in the state of Missouri. So why would we make a move like this? I think it's just, it'd be reckless legislation.
Well, and hand in hand with the Trump administration and their move to make America healthy again. I mean, when you look at how that Trump and RFK united the nation under, let's focus on these chemicals that are in our food, in our soil, in our crops, in our streams, and start figuring out why we can't sell our crops to the UK. We can't sell our crops and trade them in countries that have banned this, namely China and Germany and others. And then you look at the autistic rates, you look at the cancer rates and all of the other things that RFK is focusing on right now. Let's give them time to investigate these chemicals and see if they truly are harming us like the statistics show.
So.
Sorry, go ahead.
The flyers that were just mailed around the state, Protecting America Initiative, there is no place where they're required to name who is behind that. There's, in addition to the flyers, which we don't know how much was spent on those, there's a couple $100,000 worth of television ads that this organization has purchased. Is there any way to force them to reveal who is behind these flyers, these things, so that, and generally, so that when someone's trying to come in and influence the legislature with big spending, they have to say, where'd they get their money?
Well, I think when you look at this group of senators up here, there's one thing that we have in common. We fight. And when you want to come at us with these misleading mailers in our district, we are going to talk to the Missouri Ethics Commission and see what we can do legally right now about this failure to disclose. I mean, it's dark money through and through. It's connected to two different countries. You look at Kim China, who's praising the passage of the bill in the House. You've got individuals from Syngenta who've been bought out by Kim China. And then you've got Bayer, who is headquartered in Germany. These are companies that have everything to gain from the passage of these bills, and we're going to focus in and start investigating where this money is coming from. This guy right here has got a great bill to stop the foreign influence of our legislature and the bills moving through the process or ballot initiatives. We've seen it with Amendment 3. We've seen it with Clean Missouri. Millions upon millions of dollars, not only coming from out of state, but outside of this nation as well.
Maybe what we need to be doing also is giving the same liability protection that Monsanto wants for them, giving that to our farmers. If you're going to come after, if you're making it to where our farmers can't sue you for mislabeling products, maybe our farmers need liability protection from you. So you can't sue, because there have been lawsuits where Monsanto, Bayer, some of these big international companies have come and sued our farmers, and farmers have lost their land. So, you want to play that. I mean, that is a bill that we could file.
Can I say something real quick? I want to say something about the mailers that went out. There have been a number of constituents that have contacted my office as a result of those mailers. Many of them, we're not taking them seriously, but there were conversations that we had. And when the constituents heard about my plan to ban the use of Chinese pesticides or ingredients that come from China for use, they love it. They love it. They love it in rural Missouri. Farmers love it. This is something that is very popular. It is a message that the people appreciate, and it is a great example of how something that was meant for bad has been turned around and been used for good, and help us get this message out there.
On top of the Chinese bills that we have banning the Chinese pesticides, agri-products, Senator Carter and I have food labeling bills that are in line with the Make America Healthy Again movement. And again, we reach out to all the constituents who've received these messages. If you have any questions about where our voting record is and where we're standing with America and American products, American sovereignty, give our offices a call. Thank you all.
Thank you all.